So, supergroup Prophets of Rage is consisting of Tim, Tom, and Brad of Rage Against the Machine, Be Real from Cypress Hill, and Chuck D and DJ Lord from Public Enemy just recently released their debut album, Prophets of Rage. And I just recently had time to sit down, give it a good listen, and then just provide my thoughts. Now, before I get into that, while doing some research for the album, I've noticed that this album can be very polarizing. A lot of people thought that this was going to be something big and epic, the next big thing, the second coming of the music gods. It may have had something to do with the fact that the band described themselves as an elite task force of revolutionary musicians determined to confront the mountain of political bullshit. And that's great, but were people really expecting a musical revolution here? Some people feel like the band didn't deliver. And really, were we really going to get a musical revolution from a bunch of 50-year-olds? In a time and place when people are more willfully ignorant than they ever have before? Or in a time when music isn't really about being moved emotionally or intellectually? It's all about selling Apple products, cars, and Pepsi. So how could this be a thing that motivates change, even if this was the greatest album that these musicians have ever released? That being said, though, if you put aside that and the fact that this is not Rage Against the Machine, Public Enemy, or Cypress Hill, this is actually a very strong album with a lot to offer. As a Rage and Audioslave fan, I'm willing to say that Tim, Tom, and Brad could not sound better. They're adding new elements to this album while still laying down those deliciously ballsy grooves that only they can deliver. First of all, you have Living on the 110, which is the third track on this album. It lays down a classic Rage riff if I ever heard one, while still laying down something different in the chorus, where Tom Morello is using a technique to add a layered effect using a cello bow, kind of like Jimmy Page. And then you have Unfuck the World, which still has that Rage groove, but it's a lot heavier. You also have in the chorus, if you really listen to it, it actually sounds something similar to what Audioslave might release. Speaking of Audioslave, you also have the song Legalize Me, which, lyrical content and vocals aside, if you listen to the music, it does have a very Audioslave sound to it. That would be very much welcome on any Audioslave album. You also have some funk-inspired offerings like Take Me Higher, which I find actually shows off Tim's bass playing. The lyrical content of this album is rather shallow, but that doesn't necessarily mean that both Be Real and Chuck D are kind of sleeping at the wheel. I feel like them two together actually adds a dynamic to this group that really fits the groove that this band is laying down. You think you know what you're getting with these two, but then you have Be Real singing on a track like Legalize Me, and I swear, Chuck D sounds like Neil Fallon from Clutch on the song Who Owns Who. Now, is this the album that Tom Morello and company promised? Not really. But still, it's a good album from front to back. Now, if you came to this album looking for a revolution, I'm sorry, you are going to be disappointed. However, if you came to this album looking for some kind of musicianship, then I cannot recommend this album enough. So that's the end of the review. Also the end of the video. Did you agree with me? Did you not agree with me? Really, just tell me what you think of the album in the comments. Go ahead and like, subscribe, share, all that nonsense. Other than that, though, this is Corey from Letdown, and I will see you on the flip side.